A meteor that passed over planet Earth 50 years ago released an enigmatic green energy. At that point, Infurio and her older brother Anton are the finalists in a race between a group of friends. Anton takes the lead as soon as the race starts, but Infurio tries her hardest to catch up. Anton activates a saw to cut the girl's bike in half as she approaches, causing his sister to fall in the middle of the track. Until the girl sees a mist entering her body from the meteor, the race appears to be decided. Infurio, under the control of an unidentified force, is able to put back together her bike and rejoin the race, pedaling more quickly than ever before. Anton's sister rushes forward and pushes his bike into a hill as he gets closer to the finish line. Consequently, the boy loses control and collides with the garage door, while his friend Olaf rushes to assist him. But because of the meteor's power, Infurio appears stronger and declares that his brother must now follow her instructions. Anton is now a scientist, and his latest invention is a machine capable of absorbing the energy of the meteor that gave his sister her abilities. His calculations indicate that the meteor passes the planet every 50 years, and he will finally be able to exact revenge on Infio if everything goes according to plan. Speaking of her, his sister has turned into a supervillain who uses her power to commit crimes and wears a technological suit to hide her identity. But as the meteor gets closer and closer to the planet, Anton feels that everything is about to come to an end. A boy named Will is anticipating the birth of his younger brother, Charlie. In the meantime, he documents his life in videos while he waits, including his father, a bookworm, his mother, a policeman, and his older sister, Wille. The boy also tells us about his routine at school, where he is harassed by a trio of bullies, and is a fan of superhero comics in addition. Thankfully, his father saves him on these occasions and works hard to fight the city's criminals. Despite his best efforts, the policeman has yet to identify the masked villain in his most recent case, which is none other than Infio. The entire family rushes to the hospital the following morning when it's time for Charlie's birth. Anton and Olaf are waiting for the meteor in a different area of the city, and they will react as soon as they see it cross the sky. In an attempt to absorb the machine's energy, the scientist tries to turn it on. The apparatus doesn't work, though, and for some reason the meteor veers off course and passes in front of one of the hospital windows. Without realizing that the meteor has just absorbed the energy of the baby, Will and his family celebrate Charlie's arrival and allow him to rest in his crib. Returning to the lab, Anton is incensed that his invention has failed and that he will now have to wait an additional 50 years. He decides to change his machine so that it can absorb Infurio's energy and become the new supervillain, but he has another idea. Wills waits for his father to pick him up from school the following day, but hours go by and there is no sign of him. When the trio of bullies see the boy alone, they beat him up in the middle of the street. The boy is then forced to walk back. Will, who has a black eye, asks his father why he is running late when he gets home. However, everyone is preoccupied with Charlie. Will discovers that his things have been moved to his father's old office, and that his room now belongs to his younger brother, which only makes matters worse. All of Charlie's attention makes Will uncomfortable, and as a newborn, he is unable to play with his brother. When the baby begins to move the toys with the power of his mind, the boy goes to complain to his parents about it without realizing it. Will ends up knocking a note about the case of the masked thief off the wall while sleeping on a mattress in the office at night. The boy, unable to sleep, begins organizing the papers and finds a pattern between the crimes that reveals the next place to be robbed. Will then rushes to tell his father everything, but he's too tired from spending the night with Charlie. The boy decides to investigate the crimes on his own after feeling humiliated and gathering his things. However, he finds Charlie in a baby carriage being carried by his mother as he leaves. Will is forced to go for a walk with his brother because she claims she must work on her book. Anton has recently altered his machine, turning it into a chair capable of absorbing the power of a superhuman. His sister shows up at the lab shortly after, claiming to have discovered a new superpower, and he intends to test it covertly on Infurio. Then, she activates a force field that can shrink any object and gives a demonstration. Infio ends up striking Anton's machine, making it too small to be utilized. Will takes Charlie to the warehouse, which is where the next crime will take place, from a distance. And upon entering, he finds a group of men posing as servers stealing electronics. Charlie begins to cry, drawing the attention of the criminals as the boy tries to capture everything on his cell phone. Will tries to hide his brother among the containers, but they are spotted by a bandit who tries to kidnap the baby. Charlie, to his dismay, uses his power to lift the guy to the ceiling before lowering him to the ground, his body twisted. When his friends arrive to investigate, the baby awakens additional superpowers, such as the ability to emit light from his body and use magnetism to draw out the enemy's machine guns. The baby then fights back and unleashes a freezing blast into the face of another thief who tries to take him. When the final gang member sees the superpowered baby, he rushes toward him with a forklift and tries to flee. Charlie easily dispatches the thief once more, throwing the forklift away and sending all the thieves on their way. Will is in awe of his brother, who has somehow transformed into a superhero after the confrontation. Anton is still frustrated that his plan failed from a distance. When Infurio's goons show up at the lab, they claim that a creature with superpowers that looked like a baby attacked them. After hearing this, the scientist sets off to the hospital to confirm his suspicion that the meteor's energy has ended up in a newborn baby. Will takes his brother back home during this time. The boy rushes to take Charlie to his room when he realizes that the baby can already talk to keep his parents from finding out about his abilities. Once there, Will explains to Charlie what it means to be a superhero and why he should keep it a secret using his knowledge of comic books. Will is initially intrigued by the powers of his brother. The baby goes to sleep in his crib before he can, though. The boy is envious that he lacks powers and will only be a support for Charlie, despite being excited about the idea of having a superhero brother. The boy begins to fantasize about Flying Muscle, his favorite superhero, as he considers this. The character suggests that he use Charlie's power to fight crime while claiming all the credit. Will agrees to the idea, and the following day, after breakfast, the boy takes Charlie to the top of the building, where they will establish a covert base. Will also gives his brother a shirt with the letter S, which stands for support, and a shirt with the letter M, which stands for master. Will finally tells Charlie to show off all of his abilities, but the baby is hungry and begins to cry. Unaware that Anton is watching the two of them through binoculars in another building in the neighborhood, the brother quickly takes a bottle from his backpack and gives it to the baby. When Charlie sees a truck arrive that looks exactly like the one he saw at the depot after he has finished eating, Will asks him to show him his powers. The boy decides to chase the vehicle, but he runs into the trio of school bullies in the process. Charlie escapes the baby carriage, grabs the leader's nose, and begins slamming him against the ground as they attempt to beat Will up once more. The others run away because they are scared of the child, which only makes Will more impressed with his brother. Charlie puts Will in the cart and pushes him with his strength and speed even though the garbage truck is already out of reach following the fight. The two brothers are able to board the truck and end up at a covert base after a protracted chase. They attempt to hide inside, but the vehicle passes through a passage before an electronically locked door closes. Charlie uses his strength to easily break down the door, but Will doesn't think they'll be able to open it. The brothers find a number of combat weapons and combat exoskeletons after passing through the passage. When Will finds an underground laboratory, he continues his search because he believes the thieves are stealing weapons and technology. Charlie asks his brother to come back because he misses his parents and is scared of the place because it's dark. Will says they can't leave just yet, but his baby brother is still a baby and begins sobbing uncontrollably once more throughout the place. Olaf and Infio's goons hear the crying and set out to find the two brothers. Will runs frantically in search of the exit while holding Charlie when he finds a ladder inside a ventilation pipe. With the criminals right behind him, he climbs as quickly as he can. Fortunately, the two reach the end of the ladder and lose themselves in a basketball court manhole, but they have no time to waste, so they hide behind a dumpster. The bad guys quickly give up the chase and return to base as a result of the brothers' success. Will calls his father to come pick him up now that they are free of them. Charlie, however, claims to be hungry and begins to cry once more. The boy then remembers a game that his parents used to play when he was younger and begins to tickle his brother. Seeing Charlie smile makes Will happy and brings him closer to his younger brother, despite the challenges of being an older brother. The boy's father arrives with the car a short while later, but he is dressed in brand new combat armor. The police station chose to give him one more chance to catch the masked thief and test the weapons of the thief's new supplier despite their prior failure. A powerful technological weapon with a security feature against criminals was given to the policeman in addition to the armor. While traveling, he gets a call from the police informing him that the thief was spotted at a theme park. Will offers to assist in catching the thief as soon as they get there, but his father tells him to stay in the car as usual. Charlie observes that his brother is upset about being left out as the policeman sets off on his own to confront the villain. The baby comforts himself by saying he admires the boy and aspires to have his intelligence and tenacity. This makes Will happy, and he regrets planning to exploit his brother. They hear on the police radio that the thief has planted a time bomb in the park while he is trying to tell Charlie the truth. Charlie declines Will's offer to assist because his father has instructed them both to stay in the car, but Will decides to go there out of concern that his father and other people might be hurt. Will, on the other hand, goes and arrives just as his father is attempting to confront the robber in the mask. The policeman decides to use his gun but realizes he left it inside the vehicle. The man forgets the gun's defense mechanism and ends up being electrocuted by it as he rushes to get it from the car. Charlie sees his baby father asleep and tries to wake him up, but rather than using his powers, he bites his finger with his power teeth. The plan succeeds, and the policeman expresses gratitude to his son for waking him up just in time. He also realizes that Will isn't present, but with no time to lose and a gun in hand, he rushes to capture the masked thief. The policeman pushes the criminal away with a blast of energy as he makes his way back to the park. A number of chemical toilets start to collapse after the shot pushes the masked man against them, and one of them lands directly on top of Will. The criminal, who turns out to be Olaf, Anton's assistant, has his mask taken off by the policeman. Now that he has been captured, the only thing left to do is put an end to the bomb, and the policeman stops the countdown and saves the entire city with less than 20 seconds remaining before it explodes. Charlie's valiant deed makes the TV news, and the policeman expresses gratitude to him for waking him up at the pivotal moment. Will, on the other hand, gets out of the bathroom, but he's covered in dirt and his pictures are all over the internet, making Will a joke in the city. The scientist discovers in Anton's lab that the bomb in the park was all a hoax set up by Infio after reading about it. In order for the police to arrest the wrong criminal while she finished planning her final coup, she used Olaf to pretend to be the masked thief. Nevertheless, when Anton sees Will's pictures, he sees a chance to sabotage Infio's plans. The boy is followed home from school one morning by the scientist, who gives him a card with his address on it and tells him he can help him stop being a joke and turn into a hero. The guy doesn't get Will's attention much. He sees his family celebrating his father's promotion for apprehending the masked thief when he returns home. Will tries to warn everyone that this isn't the real criminal, but nobody takes him seriously. Will, frustrated, leaves his backpack on the floor and heads to Charlie's room to try to figure out the identity of the masked thief on his own. He is too preoccupied to notice his brother using his telepathic abilities to see what is inside the power pack. To Will's dismay, the baby finds his notes in the notebook, where he talks about using his brother's abilities for his own gain. Charlie uses his powers to expel his brother from his room after he hurts him, and he no longer wants to hear from him. The boy climbs up to the hiding place on the roof without knowing what to do when he has another fantasy about the image of the flying mussel. Even without Charlie, the boy can still count on the assistance of the scientist he met on the street. The hero tells the boy he must not give up on his plan. Will decides to visit the address on Anant's card and finds him residing in a trailer after seeing it. The boy is happy to see the scientist and offers to assist him in gaining his brother's powers. However, he must first give him a potion he made. Anton claims that the baby will become momentarily weak after this potion is put into a bottle. Will agrees despite his doubts, and after returning home with the bottle, he gives it to Charlie. The brothers then go to sleep, and when Will wakes up to see how Charlie is doing, he finds that he is ill and is unable to speak. The boy sets out on his bike to find Anton and requests that he reverse the potion after feeling regret for what he's done. His family is attending a celebration to recognize the policeman for his valiant deed at the same time. The owner of the new arms supplier will also be present to obtain the policeman's signature on a document approving the purchase of additional weapons for the police station. He then arrives at Anant's trailer in Will and demands that the scientist reverse the potion he gave his brother, but he declines and leaves the baby in the trailer, claiming that he will pursue the boy in order to absorb his powers. After that, the scientist leaves in a limousine to take the boy's family to the event while posing as a chauffeur. Will escapes through a roof hole and sets off on his bike to search for the limousine after realizing he must save them. The boy calls out for his family as soon as he finds the car, but Anton sees everything and reverses the limo, colliding with the bicycle and knocking Will to the ground. Then, weak from the potion, he runs over and takes off in a car with Charlie. Will sees the trio of bullies when everything appears hopeless, but instead of beating them up, they give him the bike to save his brother. The boy expresses gratitude for their assistance and sets out to save his brother at full speed. However, the receptionist stops him from entering the event when he arrives. In the meantime, Anton says he will take Charlie to his father's for the performance and leaves the family inside. Will tries to find a way in after he sees the guy carrying his brother through the door. Whenever he finds the kitchen window open, he sees Anton putting Charlie into the machine inside, and as soon as he activates it, a green liquid begins to emerge from the other side. With the scientist about to drink the liquid and become the newest supervillain, the process ends and Charlie is left without his powers. Infurio, however, enters the room before he can and asks what his brother is up to. Wille takes advantage of their mutual distraction and trades the container containing the liquid for a cup of coffee, while Anton tries to hide it by claiming he's simply testing a new invention. Anton decides to take the cup from the machine and drink it, telling his sister that he has also developed superpowers. As the argument goes on, the scientist then punches her, but he quickly realizes that he is still weak and inferior and fights back, trapping her brother in a room. Wille gets ready to take his brother away after the villain leaves. When he sees the cup containing the liquid with the powers, the boy is initially tempted to drink it and transform into the new superhero, but he realizes that Charlie is unable to talk like he once could due to his lack of powers. The two of them spent a lot of time together, and Wille remembers how his powers helped them grow closer. The boy then puts his egotism aside and gives Charlie a drink of liquid. The baby is still weak, though. When he hears that the event is about to begin and that his father will soon sign the document approving the purchase of the weapons, things only get worse. The boy rushes to the venue and takes the document, threatening to tear it up right there because he believes this is another plan by the masked villain. The boy tells his father that the entire event is a farce that the real masked thief set up when he asks why Wille is acting in this way. To everyone's surprise, Wille points to the owner of the arms supplier when the policeman asks him who he is. Everyone laughs at the boy and finds this ridiculous, as is to be expected. Wille feels embarrassed once more, but he sees a button concealed in the woman's belt buckle. Additionally, he activates Infurio's technological suit's mechanism by pressing it. The villain decides to exact revenge and kidnaps the boy and launches him into the air after her identity is made public. Wille is released into the air by Infurio after he has traveled a considerable distance. But Charlie shows up just when it seems like the boy's life is coming to an end, and now that he has his powers back, he takes off and saves his brother in time. Despite this, the villain refuses to give up and challenges the baby to a duel, which Charlie accepts by punching the woman. The two make their way to the rooftops after a fierce fight breaks out in the sky, where they seize the church's bells and begin wielding them like swords. Infurio launches the bell in a surprise attack at Charlie, but the villain opens a portal, causing the bell to come back at the baby. After that, she employs a different strategy and kidnaps Charlie's parents before throwing them away. However, the baby saves them by shielding them with force fields. Infurio, however, takes advantage of Charlie's diversion and shoots a laser beam, pushing the baby back into the kitchen. Inside, the villain gets ready to use her shrinking ray to deliver the last blow. She didn't count on Anton escaping the room and tossing a steel tray, causing the shrink ray to bounce back towards Infurio. The villain uses her powers to aim the rays at her brother even though she is only the size of a toy. Wille sees the power-absorbing machine at that precise moment and picks it up to use against Infurio. Charlie quickly realizes what his brother is planning, and using his super strength, he pushes Infurio toward the machine, which Wille activates in the end, absorbing the energy of the villain. The rest of the guests congratulate Wille and Charlie on saving the day as the police imprison the defeated villain in a box. Anton tries to use his sister's abilities to take the liquid at the same time, but Wille stops him, stating that superpowers should only be given to those who truly deserve them. Last but not least, Charlie uses hypnosis, another of his powers, to erase all memories of what transpired, with the exception of Wille's. As a result, the two brothers can resume their regular lives and nobody remembers that the baby possesses superpowers. A few days later, Wille assists in planning an event to showcase her mother's recently published book about Charlie, a baby with superpowers. The book quickly becomes a huge success, and she has no idea that the story is based on actual events. Thanks to Wille's cunning and the abilities of the city's new superhero, Super Charlie, the brothers are now closer than ever and fighting crime. Subscribe to watch more videos like this. Leave a comment about your favorite movie and we will make it next. Thanks for watching.